All right, so Count Nufari has entered the contest. Let's check him out. So yeah, Count Nafari or Nofari, I can't pronounce the name right, but he has Power Steel, Bleed Immunity, Shock, and Incinerate Resistance, and Regeneration. So you know what we gotta do? Let's talk about his combo first. What is his combo like? His combo actually isn't that bad. Like his evade, like when you first play him, it can be a little bit off-putting because you're not really expecting it. It's kind of the evade like Kate Bishop or Elsa Bloodstone's kind of like that. But like what makes his evade a little bit different is he can do it on specials. Like it goes, he has an unlimited ability to do it during specials. Meaning like if you time it right on the last hit of the special that whoever you're facing, he can evade that last hit, which can be very beneficial against certain champions. And other than that, he's not clunky to play at all. I found him actually quite fun and very enjoyable. Like I got a little sense of satisfaction playing him. So first up, let's talk about his strengths. One of the strengths is fighting against health and power gain. Count Nafari inflicts his opponent with energy buildup debuffs whenever they gain health or power from buffs or passives. These debuffs are key resource for his kit, so when fighting opponents who do either or both of those, he'll do a lot more to work with. While Iconic Overcharge is active, he's also able to steal those gains from his opponent and further powering up his kit. So great utility right off the bat. I'm here for that utility because we can always use someone that can stop power gain or regeneration because it feels like we've been facing a lot of that lately in the contest, and someone with his utility, definitely beneficial. He also has evading special attacks. Count Nafari can evade incoming attacks that he will well-time block. This evade also hits the opponent, similar to Elsa Bloodstone or Kate Bishop. A very key distance for Count Nafari is that he also is able to evade the last hit of the incoming special, which gives him new ways to avoid and punish special attacks. So yeah, that evade can definitely come in clutch, and it can be very effective if used properly. I'm still learning how to use it. Another one of his strengths is applying debuffs. Count Nafari is able to apply a lot of build-up debuffs during a fight. These are also indefinite, so he works well with any quest nodes or masteries looking for the presence of debuffs on the opponent. So those debuffs are definitely going to be really beneficial with the right mastery setup, in my opinion. Also, non-contact attacks. During Iconic Overcharge, all of Count Nafari's attacks become non-contact energy attacks, allowing him to bypass any of his opponent's abilities or mechanics that are looking for contact attacks. Now, the key to this is when he's in Iconic Overcharge. Like, if he's not in that mode, he's gonna do contact hits, so keep that in mind. Like, that can definitely be a hindrance. I learned that the hard way, that he has to be in, I think it's Ionic. I keep saying Iconic, it's Ionic Overcharge, excuse me, so don't blame me too hard in the comments, guys. He does have weaknesses though. One of his weaknesses is debuff immune. If the opponent is immune to debuffs, they will be immune to Count Nafari's energy build-up debuffs. This will deprive him of single most important resource for his kit, so he really struggles in these matchups. So if they're debuff immune, he's not going to be effective at all against them, so keep that in mind. He's really reliant on his debuffs to deal damage, and that's where the source of his damage comes from. So if they can't have any debuffs on them, he's not going to be beneficial. Also, bleed. As being made of ionic energy, Count Nafari is immune to bleed. However, when he would be inflicted with bleed while fighting a non-mystic opponent, he loses ionic energy. This makes it harder to build up and maintain his core loop in fights when there's lots of incoming bleed. So yeah, if he may be a bleed immune, but he does kind of rely on that ability, and it's part of his loop. Like, if he's being bled a lot, he's not going to be able to get in his loop at all. Also, evade punishment. Count Nafari evade is a key part of his gameplay loop, since it's one of the main sources of his build-up debuffs. In fights where evading is impossible, punished, or where the opponent has a counteracting effect like unstoppable, Nafari will have a hard time performing his normal loop. So he's also reliant on that evade as well. So debuff immune, bleed, or evade punishment, he's not going to be very effective because he's dependent on all three of those to really deal his damage and get into a loop. But speaking of immunities, he also is immune to power steal, so you can't steal his power. I think he still can be power burned, or you can reverse his power, but you can't steal his power, so keep that in mind. And also, like I said before, he is bleed immune, so keep that in mind. Like, Archangel is not going to be effective. Anyone that does bleed damage isn't going to be effective, but it still can work against him because he won't be able to enter his ionic charge fast if he is bled. So what's he like awakened? Now, when I was playing him, I didn't get the impression he needed to be awakened. During Ionic Overcharge, when he's at 6200, he passively regenerates 80% of the health denied to the opponent due to any reduced regeneration rate. Each tick of his healing cannot exceed 100.91 health, scaling with his base health. When the opponent gains 20% of a bar of power from a passive or buff within 0.5 seconds, instantly gain 50 Ionic charges. This activates Ionic Overcharge. This also triggers when they gain 8% of their max power for any reason within 0.5 seconds. So again, in my opinion, his awaken ability, like every other champion in the game, he will benefit from, but in my opinion, he doesn't really need to be awakened. I don't think I would use a generic awakening gem. I think I would rather dupe him naturally, and I definitely wouldn't put Sig Stones into him because it's like, if you want to take advantage of that passive regeneration rate from all those debuffs you put on the opponent, it kind of needs to be high Sig to really, you know, enjoy it. His prestige is 18,260, so not bad prestige, but again, I don't think I would awaken him. I'm pretty sure there would be someone in the comments to let me know that they would awaken him, but yeah, I didn't think he need his awaken ability at all. I think he's fine unawakened and just as effective, in my opinion, unawakened. But that's my opinion. Let me know. On defense, when I was played against him on defense, I didn't find him as a problem at all. I think he's actually relatively easy on defense. He does have some special, like, you got to learn how to dodge his specials, and you got to watch out for that evade. But other than that, he wasn't really a problem to me on defense. I think in Battlegrounds, he's probably going to be more of an offensive talent and more of a liability on defense because he just all you have to do is really worry about that evade. And if you have a slow on him, he's not going to be able to evade, or some kind of decelerate or something of that stops his evade. Or you're just dealing with a champion that doesn't gain any debuffs or who can shake off debuffs like Kingpin. You know, you're going to be perfectly fine. Like, he's not going to be that much of a problem. Even though, like, the regular nukes like Archangel won't really work for him. But Torch could, and so could Hercules, and some other offensive nukes will counter him really well. So, yeah, on defense, he won't be a problem at all. I think he'll be kind of easy, and I think people will more than likely use him offensively than use him defensively, in my opinion. But again, we'll see. You never know with Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds is an interesting place in the contest. So what about those stat focus? Now, when I have the 7-star, I found putting the special damage and the special damage on defense were the best options for stat focus. Because, you know, you kind of relying on throwing specials and you gain a lot of power when you have the ionic charge. So I thought it would be very beneficial to have that special attack damage increase on his offensive and defensive abilities. But again, I suggest you try it out and see how you like it when you pull him as a 7-star, and then you can let me know what you think the best stat focus is for him. Relic. There was only one relic I found for him. It was the Hawk relic. Every time you put a debuff on the opponent, you can do some kind you can do something with it. I didn't really read it in depth because it's like relics are just good in general, and I think it also helped with his physical resistance, and I was definitely more using it as an offensive tool than a defensive one. But I believe with the more debuffs you put on the opponent, the more damage you will do, so keep that in mind. Also, Masteries. The Masteries I found for him were Despair. Count Nafaria is able to easily inflict lots of debuffs on the opponent thanks to energy buildup. This means they can also easily scale up and benefit from the Despair Mastery. Its reduction to regeneration rate will turn into further benefit the healing he gets from his signature ability. And of course, Inequity, similar to Wise, where he Despair, Count Nafaria is able to capitalize on Inequity Mastery due to his easy access to debuffs. So those are the two Masteries I think are really beneficial. I thought he was okay for the damage Mastery, but I wouldn't recommend it in my opinion. So what are my overall thoughts on Count Nafaria? Well, I do like him. There are pros and cons. I think he has really great utility. I believe he's fine on Awakens. I think that evade is something that you can constantly rely on. I think it's something that will really be beneficial on offense and Battlegrounds. I think he has a relatively easy play style. Like, he didn't seem complicated or clunky at all when I was playing him. I actually had a lot of fun playing him and I enjoyed it. But he also has some cons. Like, I think he's kind of a bad defender. I also think he has a little bit of a ramp up, which can be detrimental in battlegrounds because we only got 2 minutes to do as many debuffs, or do as much damage as we can, or to get the fight down. He's also relying on his debuffs to do like his regular loop. And I feel like his damage is okay, but I felt like there are times when I'm getting the Furies on, and I feel like the damage was not what I would thought it would be. Still okay, but for a 7-star rank 2, the damage wasn't what I thought it would be. I thought he would hit a little bit harder, especially with all those debuffs, especially trying to ramp him up the way he needs to be ramped up. So again, it left a lot to be desired. I didn't think he was AI dependent, but trying to get his loop the way you need it to be to do maximum damage was a little challenging, and I felt like it wasn't as rewarding as it could be. Still not bad. I don't think he needs a tune-up or rebalance, but his damage is just, it leaves a lot to be desired. But I do still like him because his utility is so great, and the things he can do and the fact that he's unawakened is, I think, is really well done. So in my opinion, overall, I think this is a solid champion. I do want him as a 6 and or a 7-star, and I probably would at least take him to rank 2. I don't know if I'll take him to rank 3 right away, but you know, that's me. But overall, good champion. I do like him, and I can't wait to see what he does in this contest. So yeah. But if you did like this video, please hit that like button. And for anyone new here, if you can hit that sub button, I'll greatly appreciate it. Y'all take care. Have a great and wonderful day.